My name is John Weistroffer. Uh, and so tonight's main presentation is just like members showcase. So this is kind of like a virtual backyard tour. This is just there's three of us shows me, Eddie, and Joseph, and we're all gonna just we have some slides and pictures to show you, and we're just gonna talk about kind of like what we grow and how we do it and what we do. And feel free to ask questions, interrupts. There's this is very informal. So this is my backyard, or this is my growing area, I should say. Some of you guys have already been here and seen this in person. Some of you have not. So this building is my garage, and this is the backside of my garage. And strictly speaking, so these are the power lines. This is actually the power line easement. I don't actually own this land. I suppose my property ends right about where the gutter comes down, but it was just kind of a mess before. I didn't know what to do with it. So last couple of years, I cleaned it all out, and I had this the gutters dug into the ground and go out to the street and put the landscape fabric down and the black star gravel and kind of made it a cool little patio area. It was a lot of work, and then I thought, well, this seems like a good place to grow some plants, so I'm gonna build a 20-foot long shelf and bolt it to the back of the garage, and that's what I did. And that's where I grow not all but most of my cactuses. So there's not much else to see here. Everything else you see is just backyard landscaping. Uh, so it's just kind of a little cactus zone back there. So if you want to, I guess one thing to point out here is everything is under the overhang, so it's all more or less protected from rain. So sometimes when it rains, sideways or at an angle, it gets wet, but that doesn't happen too often. So are we able to go to the next slide? There we go. So first thing, winter protection. So here's what I do. So I got pretty tired of carrying like 200 pots into the garage whenever the big freeze came. So I thought, well, this is a pretty simple solution. So I built this little frame. So it's made of these are from Home Depot. They're just they're those big green like plastic colored um like stakes, I guess, just stakes. And I saw them in maybe, yeah. And they're like about that big round, they're like the hefty ones. And I bought like a whole bunch of those and I sawed them to length. And I bought these fittings from Amazon. So there's like corner fittings and T fittings and everything. So I was able to build this kind of a greenhouse frame. And I just pick it up from underneath and I just set it on top. Simple as can be. And then what I do is also from Home Depot. You can tell it's my favorite store. Is I bought these big old um, incandescent. That's the important word. Incandescent, not LEDs. Light bulbs. There's Christmas lights, and you can buy them. It's like 20 bulbs, and each bulb is the size of like a ping pong ball or one and a half ping pong balls. They're kind of big. And they're if you buy them after Christmas, they're like $8 for the maybe even cheaper. And they are very inefficient and they make a lot of heat. And so I, you can see how I did it here. So I kind of just ran a center line down the top of the frame and I kind of wrapped them around there. And then these are just old bed sheets and whatever else you got. You can put towels or blankets, however much insulation you want to put on there. Wrap that. And then over that, I don't have this picture, but over this, I put plastic sheeting. So like, some 6 mil plastic from Home Depot. And so this is like a real like layering technique. So you have your insulation, then you have your windbreak on top, and you have your light bulbs inside. And of course, because I'm an engineer, I made some measurements, and this maintains it about 20 degrees above ambient. So when it's 30 degrees outside, it's 50 in there. I gotta say, it's pretty cozy. You stick your hand in there, and so that's what it looks like inside when it's all bundled up, and it works pretty well. Uh, Another reason I started doing this is because even moving plants in the garage doesn't freeze, but I lost stuff. There's rodents in there. I had them just eat plants, just gone. Like seedling, like Copiapo seedlings, just gone. They just ate them, you know. And I had lost a couple of pseudolithos because they don't really want to get cold at all. So even the garage was too cold for them. So this is a much better option. So something you can think about if all your plants happen to kind of live in one little area. So uh, get next slide. Yeah. Oh, how cold was it when I went out there and did that? I'm oh, if it's gotta pretty much it's gonna have to freeze. Like legit freeze. Like it's gonna have to hit 32 or below. And for some of those things, so there's some plants like sansevierias, they don't want to get cold at all. Adeniums, no way. Pseudolithos, there's certain genus of plants that like when it gets down to like 40, they got to be inside, like in the house, inside, right? So, but and yeah, and not wet either. So, this is mostly for like cactuses and like hardier stuff. If it's a real desert cactus and it's dry, they can actually take a freeze for the most part. A lot of them can. I've already pulled inside. Yeah, yeah. Only I know that from experience. Right, I've lost a few. So for soil, I know some of you guys mix your own soil, and that's a really good idea. I should do the same thing. I'm sure it's much cheaper. But I'm lazy, and so I just kind of stuck to my ways. So I started this whole hobby using this product. I buy it from Buchanan's. It's way overpriced, I'm sure. It's called Rabbit Hill. I like it because it does not contain peat moss at all. And so it even when it's dry, it re-wets very easily. You just put water on it and it just soaks in. Super easy. This is a general. Um, this is good for everything. I usually, for anything that's a little bit rot prone, I would pair that with a terracotta pot because it's porous, it wicks away the moisture and dries out faster. But that's a really good product. The ingredients are down here if anyone cares to read that. It actually does contain some composted cow manure and worm castings, so it's got some nutrients in it for growing. The other one that I've become a fan of using is called Gritty Mix, and this was not necessarily developed for cactuses, but some cactuses, a lot of cactuses really like it. It's right there. So it's 1/3 pine bark, 1/3 um, calcine clay, and then 1/3 montmorillonite clay, all screened to a 1/4 inch size. And it's just basically growing in small rocks. And I found that there are certain genus of cactuses that generally really, really like that. So it's the genus that have a large network of very fine roots. Love that stuff. And what's cool about that is you can pot a large plant with gritty mix, like a large cactus, and grow it out in the middle of your yard in full sun from all day long, and it can live in the Houston rain because the stuff is so well drained, nothing sticks around, and it loves it. So that's what I use that for. I have a whole little collection of plants that are not on the shelf that are like out in the yard in full sun because if you don't do that, they kind of grow toward the sun. I don't like how it looks, so they gotta get it all day to grow straight. So these are the two things that I use for potting mix. And then so for certain plants, I've been using this. There's this series of it's like soil toppers called In Situ from Fireproof Plants, and they have one for Chihuahua. They have one called Atacama, and they have one called Karoo for like the three Karoo in South Africa, Atacama, of course, in South America, and Chihuahua in like northern Mexico, West Texas. And they are actually like regionally geologically appropriate rocks for what's there for what these plants grow in. So for the other two, it doesn't really matter because they're not pH active rocks, but for the Chihuahuan Desert is a limestone desert, so it matters for that. And so there's a whole bunch of fine limestone, and I put that on top of my Chihuahuan Desert plants and let the fine limestone seep into the soil, and it gives them a more habitat appropriate soil pH for what they might be adapted for, and that tends to make those plants grow more slowly. It actually retards their growth, which some of you might not want, but I do because I want them to grow kind of hard grown, and I want them to look more like they would in habitat. So That's kind of what I'm trying right now. We'll see. I haven't killed any of them yet, so they must like it. You can go to the next one. Oh, the gritty mix, you can buy it on Amazon. Oh, oh, the NC2. I go to the Fireproof Plants website, I think. Yeah, yeah, yep. And I guess one more thing, the for the gritty mix, I usually put that in a plastic or a non-porous pot because if you don't, it dries out too fast, especially in Texas. So for water and fertilizer, Dave, you're going to kill me. I don't fertilize. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I just don't, and they still grow. They get Houston hose water is what they get. I don't give them reverse osmosis. They would love rainwater. I just don't collect it. I'm all in support of that. I just don't do it. Uh, they grow just fine with Houston tap water, and if I do fertilize, it's infrequent. It's maybe once or twice a year. Is all I do. I'm not saying that you should copy me. That's just what I do. If you want their plants to grow faster, give them more fertilizer. So, yeah, pretty simple on that. For watering, how often I water? If it's during the growing season when it's warm outside, once every couple weeks ish. When needed. Um, I go around and I kind of you can look at them, you can see if they've shrunken in or if they're soft. It's like, well, they need some water. But they're cactus, so if you don't water them for a month, they're fine. They'll puff back up. Um, so for the things I like to grow, this kind of a little showcase here. These are my favorite genus of cactuses that I mostly enjoy: Copipoa, Gymnos, Ferrocactus, Marimularia, Astrophytum, Arecarpus, and Lophophora. I'm mostly a cactus grower. A few non-cactus types, a few euphorbias, a few haworthias and sansevierias, and that kind of rounds it out. And some carnivorous plants here on the end that are not succulents at all. But they get reverse osmosis water. Yeah, or rainwater. They have to have that. Although they will, yeah. So, but yeah, that's uh, that's about it. Unless anybody has any questions, I'll hand it over to Eddie. There's a folder on there called Eddie's photos.
Yeah. So just go through the photos.
Yeah. Eddie, I'm not going to guarantee that your phone's going to be in any particular order.
Okay.
Especially with the computer type one.
Try this. Where's it going here?
Let's get that.
There we go. Let's start. I think it sort of when I was talking to Rosa, it just went into their Facebook photos, and I think it's like a couple.
Oh, okay. Does that?
Yeah,
No.
Yes.
yeah, well, so I moved out to Waller. I used to live downtown, Fifth Ward. Everything you see pretty much was on my rooftop before. And so now I moved out to Waller, and that's out in BFE, past Cypress on 290. So it's an hour drive from here. But my yard is very small, and the retaining wall did come with the yard. So I've always wanted a greenhouse. I'm 68. Finally got a greenhouse. Actually, the warehouse for the greenhouses, the whole United States is in Pflugerville, Austin. So if you go up there, you can see they have all these greenhouses. I mean, it's beautiful. And so Karina, she's not here, and Dave came over and they kind of helped me with the placement and everything. So I thought I wanted the cement slab, and I actually had an electrician come over. I got off of next door and had an electrician come over. And so I have it wired to put, there's two 20 amp outlets, and there's 4 outlets in there, but there's two 20 amp outlets. And I have another outlet on the wall. He did for if I put a fish pond in. I haven't decided yet. So as you see, my backyard then is very small. There's not very much grass there. And then all across the back here is all the plants. So everything will go in the greenhouse. Most stuff will go in the greenhouse around November through February. So that's the greenhouse. Okay, go to the next one. So this is the side of my house. So my house faces, the front door faces south, and this is front north, and this is the west side of my house. So the sun's up this way. So the sun comes over this way. So this gets full sun from probably about 11 to 4:35-ish in the afternoon. And I made all the shelves out of milk lugs and 1x6s. I got from Home Depot. They fit my SUV. And then the guys that did my cement, I also had them come in and do the gravel. So he's done quite a bit of work for me. They came in and put the gravel, and I bought all the papers and everything, and stayed gravel the whole way, all the way down for me, and got that done. So actually, I'm going to go tomorrow to Beaumont and get some more milk lugs for my daughter. I'm going to go another 6 more feet, even though there's not going to be anything on it. That way, next year I can spread out more because I kind of have everything piled together right now. So it's kind of a learning experience since I just moved here. I don't really know what I'm doing yet with the sun and that, but everything is thriving. I mean, the stuff looks really good. Okay, with the next one.
Interesting.
So that was them building the greenhouse. So actually, it was Diane and Gary. Diane's the one that sold me the greenhouse. Gary's her husband, and he works at FedEx. So he came down and taken 4 trips from Austin to come build it for me. He had a stroke at work.
Oh boy.
I mean, it was a nightmare. So it took, instead of being done in 2 days, it took 2 months. And the hospital and blah, blah, blah. But he's okay now. So I don't know if anybody else will be able to get him to build the greenhouse, because I think I might be the last one that he's going to build. So it's yeah. And I didn't do it. But you know what's funny is he would not get any water, nothing. He did use the bathroom, but he brought everything of his own. He would not do any, he would not do, old man set in his ways and everything. What was interesting is when they brought the greenhouse, he drove from Austin, and he's in a semi truck from here to the wall. I thought, oh my God, it's only on one little pallet, and on the street. And had to sit in the street for a day, the big glass pieces and everything. So I mean, it was a job for him to get all that done. So, but I am really pleased with the greenhouse. I'm really happy with it. And I did do the options. I put an extra door in, so there's the double door on this side, and then there's a door on the other end. And I did the low threshold, so when you walk in, it's just maybe this tall. Otherwise, it would be this tall to walk over the frame. When you get older, you tread. I'm old. And it's glass. It's glass. Yeah. And it's 4. It's a 4 insulation. So I will have 2 heaters. I've not ordered the heaters yet, but I'll have the heaters in there. And I've got some, I don't know if I put the picture with the shelves in there, and I've put some shelving and everything that I made. But I'm really happy with the greenhouse. It's really pretty. Okay, and then this is my patio. So this is almost pure sun, or pure shade. I'm sorry, pure shade. And I know y'all have bought the baker's racks or the wire racks. So that's only 2 sets of racks. And I can make that into 3. And I just trying to think about the placement. So instead of 2, I made 3 racks out of it. So I got more spread out on it. Does that make any sense? Yeah. And then I just used the bungee cords. I think that he kind of told me about putting those around, keep the plants from falling off. So I got my Christmas cactus in there. I got it at Walmart for $1. I mean, they perfect spot. The Hoyas, fixing to bloom. So some of the baby stuff I can kind of stick there and nurture it and everything. And then there's a rat tail hanging up there. And you can see my next door neighbor's right there. Okay, go to the next one, please. So that's just when I think this is probably during the winter time this is probably before I put the plants in and everything. So actually, I use college hunks movers. No one will move plants or fish tanks.
Oh, fish tanks.
Fish tanks. Nobody will move live animals. And so I did some callings, and I call up college hunks. They're not in college, and they're not hunks. So on Monday, they came to the house, my old house, big truck, and all that it was full of was plants and pots. It's kind of embarrassing, isn't it? I mean, it was from here to the wall.
A lot of
Oh my God. And then the fish tanks, I moved the fish in my car, and they moved the tanks in the stands in the moving van, and then went to the house and set everything up, and then loaded everything. And then Tuesday I went back out to move more stuff, and then Wednesday they came out and moved my furniture. So yeah, went to the next one there. That's just another side shot there. So that's the silk tree I bought from you, Dave, right there. You see it? But I've got carpenter bees. I mean, that's something I big old really had all of my. So that on my potting soil mix, it's just dirt and gravel and chicken grit and pumice and perlite. And I have some big totes, and I just dump it all in there. And fertilizer I buy marked down.
fruit tree fertilizer, awesome coats, whatever's on sale, like right now, got lots of Walmart. And I just mix it all together and I throw that in my buckets, plants, and a systemic also. So I do fertilize. So when I mix on my dirt, I'll just keep on replenishing all the time. No set formula, I just have to go. So the next one.
There's kind of taking pictures.
Yeah, so that's a plant from Grant. And I said, no, before we over there, that one, raise from a little baby one, get to the next one. So a lot of these have really gotten big. So then, so the house didn't have this on here, so actually, the first thing I did was this, and it's a cement slab, and it was from this 12 by 24. And guys, one did the gravel and everything, French drains. I had them put the posts of 6 by 6, and I did the sunshades up on the top with the chains and everything. I thought about it for a long time. I wanted to, so there you can see my incentive for the plants with the shelves. So there's 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 bugs on the bottom, and on top there's another row with the 4 by 6 up there on my shelf. So there's a football. That was almost the house.
Oh, Whitey, can you, what? Yeah,
Okay.
that's better. They couldn't hear. This powder.
So, I mean, you have to be more operating on a first-name basis.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing is finding somebody you can trust that is good. And, you know, I tell you what, when Ruben and the guys came, I feel them. I mean, they are strange. I didn't have them, they did it. They drilled into the existing patio, the rebar in, I mean, so they just like what they, I mean, so that's the big price for us. The whole neighborhood is fine.
You got them off where?
Just one of the neighbors said that she put a patio in, and so I used them too, and then I give them to the other neighbor. I mean, so we all kind of used them, because everybody kind of made their patios bigger.
Yeah.
That. So I mean, I have a big patio, but it wasn't big before. The center was the greenhouse. So those, the sunshades were 10 by 10. So actually, this is my, I sat here. And all the time. That's why I don't want to go anywhere. I'm happy to be in. So there's not a lot more stuff, unfortunately. And, but yeah, this is the my first project.
What do you do?
What, they're all gonna go to the greenhouse. Last year, they're all my there. So I had grasshoppers in the house. I'm like, what that? So a few of them will go into the house, but this year, 90% of them are going to the green. Oh, yeah. But I had a lot of, I said, where the heck is that grasshopper? I mean, great big grasshopper. But I said, my ficus trees, I've had them 14, 15 years. So all this stuff I pretty much brought from my other house. Okay, go to the next one, please. Yeah, so that's where the grant, so you can see. So that swing right there, that's for my mom and dad. That's like 40, 50 years old, the wind chimes. But I just bought off Amazon or Sam's Club. I got a big storage chest, 230 gallons. Now all my pots, potting supplies, everything goes in that big storage bin. And I mean, it works out really well. And it was easy to build. It took me 10, 15 minutes. And I mean, it's great big. So I got rid of a lot of stuff in my garage. And okay, so what's this? So I don't know, Frank and Sherry aren't here, are they? No. Okay, so this right here. And this one right here. The HOA made me move them from the front yard to the back. So those are the hideous planters that I had. They're not hideous. They're actually the ends of a missile. So they're, and they said that the HOA said they were rusty. They didn't match with the aesthetic. And I'm thinking, okay, well, that's called patina. Those are worth a lot of money. But so now they're in my backyard. So, yeah. And they said palm trees don't grow in Houston. So, but still the builders. So I have them all in the backyard. So there's another view of the, so you can see the boat loves. There's one plants there. So behind me is not a green space, but there's a pipeline there. So my next door neighbor, or maybe there's like 50 feet from my fence and the neighbor's fence. So there's nobody really behind me on different sides.
That's awesome.
Okay, go to the next one, please.
What kind of cactus you got down there?
Which one?
Oh, it was blooming.
So when I go to Walmart or at Home Depot. So I'm kind of getting where I'm kind of thinking in terracotta pots too. I'm wondering I need to be. So all these will go into the greenhouse, hopefully. And there's some more. Some of these are from
There.
Grant. The Novak, that's but all the rest, I pretty much improved. And the panel cords there, those are from HCD 2-3 years ago, and they're probably this big. I mean, now they're massive. But I do water minimum once a week, sometimes twice a week. It is hot out. It is hot. It's brutal. You don't cement that. Yeah. It was all farmland, so I did have rats. I mean, it's farmland. What do you expect? And when I go out there, you know how you off the crown point. These are poisonous, and that's what they're eating. Yeah. And I put a rat trap out there, and then rat. I've never seen another since. Huh? So. Yeah. So I just stock my shelves. So I mean, that's what I did, and it's cheap and it's fast, and this is so I put the bricks on there for the wind, but it's just kind of so that's my setup. Right.
The size of your greenhouse relative to plant needs?
I went as big as I could because no one's ever said I wish I had a smaller greenhouse. So the HOA, that's not visible from the street, so they can't see my greenhouse at all from the street. And so I think it's 10 feet tall, and so it's 10 by 15. And price kind of dictated part of it too. So if you go on to Exacco, EXACO, so actually Costco sells the greenhouses. But if you go to Exacco, you get a better deal and you get a discount, and they can see what they got the warehouse and everything. They've got all different kinds of greenhouses. They got polycarbonate, glass. They have all different kinds, not just this kind.
So yes, how much the exercise go through fitting it?
Yeah. So I'm not, but I'm kind of in my mind, I already kind of know what I want to do. So I've got shelving on 3 sides, and I put some shelves in the middle that I made. And I'm, the small, so all these decorative pots, the cash pots, those all stay outside. I don't take them in. So it's just I don't ever plant directly inside even those pots. That's not how I do it. And then I just put everything in the greenhouse. So last year they were all in my living, and I kind of got tired of it. So for about 3 weeks. So, but my desert roses, which I got quite, those will go in the house in November, but I may water them one time, but they'll just go in one of the bedrooms and sit on the floor.
How do you plan to heat the greenhouse?
Found heaters on Amazon.
Propane?
Electric. So first thing I did when I bought the house was a home generator.
Yeah.
Power goes out there all the time because they're building new houses, so they cut the power up all the time.
Oh.
So I bought the home generator. 2 months to the day, it blew up. Had to come back out and replace it. Yay. And so but still that fear, if the gas line gets cut, a few of the plants will go into the house, in winter time. But the home generator I'm real happy with. Yes, sir.
How much does greenhouse cost?
Of what?
Greenhouse?
The greenhouse? Okay, the greenhouse is 10,000. The slab was 1,600, which I thought was cheap. 1,600 when they put French drains underneath that too, with the rebar and everything. They did that all in one day, slab it all in one day. And so when the guys come in, they tore the fence down in the front. They put 8x10 plywood so it doesn't trample the grass. They have this big machine that comes in. All of this. I mean, it's a job. It's a job. But they got done by 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They started at 9 in the morning and they were done by 3. So when the electrician came, it took him a day to run the power from the box through the attic. Took him an hour to fish the lines through because the high ceilings in the house and everything. The electrician was $1,900. That's for he put 3 amps, three new circuit breakers on my box, 1 for the fish pond and the 2 for the greenhouse. And then the guy to build the greenhouse gave, I think it was 3,800 for him to build it, and it took him 4 days. 4 days, but 2 months because and it's hot as when they're building that. I mean, it was hot. I mean, you're just dripping,
Do you have any shade trees planted?
Pardon me?
Yeah. Do you have any shade trees?
No, there's not. I haven't done anything yet. So the front yard did have an oak, but I told the HOA I'm taking out and I put in
magnolia, little gem, because I didn't want a big one.
So
And of course, then the wind broke it. Cut down, so now, but it's grown probably a foot. So I mean, I don't have a regular magnolia. I got the little one because I just don't want the tree roots and everything.
Yeah.
You know. So, but yeah.
What's the shelf life of the greenhouse? I have no idea.
Oh well, it's aluminum
Uh-huh.
and glass. So you know, and actually they have on the website that people talk about the hail and that, and they show massive hailstorms and the glass is tempered. It's tempered, so it should all be good. And it's got in two of the windows and on the side window, it's got wax and there's little tubes and it automatically opens when it gets 70 degrees. The windows open up automatically and they close down. So that's pretty cool.
15, 20 years?
Oh, longer than that. Yeah, I would think longer than that. Yeah. I mean, since and these are made in Belgium, so tariffs are going to be affecting it too. They told me. I'm just saying. So the thing was finding the cement and the electricity. So Karina and Dave came over and talked about it, and they didn't have electricity put in theirs, but I knew I wanted that before they even told me. And so then we talked about the heaters. So I'm gonna have two heaters. One's a backup in case one breaks. So I'm gonna get two of the same heaters, and they have thermostats on them, so they'll come. I'll probably keep it at 45 or 50 inside the greenhouse. You know. And I said, no, unplug it when I don't need it or whatever. Okay, that's it. And I'm going to have an open house. If somebody wants to come, y'all need to kind of decide when you want, because I'm retired, I don't care. But after tax, I'm going to be gone for a week or two. And I'm out in Waller. It's a long drive, but you can stop at the outlet mall on the way going home shopping. So kind of talk to Lauren and me or whatever when y'all want to. I mean, I don't mind, you know, everything looks really good now, so I'm kind of pretty proud of it. It doesn't matter to me. I'm retired.
Okay, perfect.
Oh, Cindy said Sunday? No, Saturday. Saturday.
We're thinking October 12th. Okay.
Okay. So I'll send you guys the address and everything, but I'm in Turner Bucky's. Yay! In Turner Bucky's, and I'm out from Bucky's on 290. Okay? Joseph is next.
Nothing is uploaded there.
Yeah, sure, I can do that. I guess before I start real quickly, let me just say thank you to the people who came out a couple weekends ago to help with our conservation service event. I really appreciated it a lot, and we had a really good time. You know, that tone of voice, it's hard to believe, but we did actually have a good time. I guess I wanted to, like, we spent a few hours out there helping clear invasive species, and we all like learned something and enjoyed each other's company. So special thank you, I guess, to Lauren, Naomi, Jim, like, I guess, John, Joe, like I'm forgetting somebody.
Just trim.
Sabrina, of course. So anyway, thank you all for coming. I have little things for some of you as thank you. So, and hopefully we'll do another one soon when it's cooler. I'm looking forward to seeing more of you guys there.
Thanks for organizing it too.
Yeah.
I'll try to keep this brief. Thanks to John for asking me to talk about some of my plants and how I grow them. Go to the next slide. So just real quickly as background, I've like always lived in Houston. I'm pretty used to the climate here. I've always grown a variety of different types of plants that I will show you pictures of. But starting in like 2019, I got a little more serious about cacti and succulents in particular. I think I had maybe, like I said, like 30 to 50 of them by the time that the pandemic hit, which is around when I was joining the society. From about 2020 to 2023, I was buying a lot of seeds, primarily from Mesa Garden and from Thailand. And I think, I'm trying to think the last time I bought a plant. It was like 2 years ago, maybe. So I basically don't buy plants. I rarely ever buy seeds. I do trade with people for stuff occasionally, but at this point, I pretty much just breed my own plants. So you can see up here what I grow. It's mostly Gymnos, Astros, Lophophora fricki, Trichocereus,
and whatever else is constantly propagating. So I said I grow a little of everything, and I just wanted to show you some of that. I took out my front yard a couple years ago and replaced it with a wildflower bed. So I grow native wildflowers. The pollinators really like that. I grow typical house plants in places where it's appropriate. So on the side of my driveway that gets full sun. This is just like your standard Texas sage that you see everywhere. But they obviously does very well. And then that's the flower of a carnivorous plant. I also grow some of those. So can we go to the next one? Probably the part of my garden I'm the most proud of is my moss garden. I grow about right now probably 10-ish. It's between 8 or 11. I need to count again. Species of local mosses. I do not know their names. The mosses are pretty hard to identify to the species level, but it's really fun little hobby. I don't know anybody else who cultivates moss, but I built these little moss gardens and transplanted these mosses from around Houston there. I grow tropical plants as well, so you can see some of my tropical stuff there. Yeah, it's in mostly full shade, but it doesn't need it. It just needs to be wet all the time. Somewhere just damp. Somewhere where you see moss already growing, you can probably grow moss there. So most of my cacti I grow on my back porch. My back porch is mostly covered in plants. I don't use it for like socializing. I use it as my growing space. This is south facing, so it works pretty nicely. I have 40% shade fabric up. The way I did this was just to buy these 4x4s and put 5 or like 5 gallons of concrete around them, sink them in the ground. You can tell that the tension on the cables has pulled them out of plumb over the last like 4 years, but they are very strong and very stable. And the good news is that because like the way the cables are strung, I can retract the shade fabric or put it out very quickly. It takes like less than a minute. So that's like if it's going to rain really heavily or something, I can pull back and secure the shade fabric, and I don't have to worry about that getting torn or something. You can see some shots of like the way the back porch is laid out, but it's important that I have stuff in the right areas depending on where, like where there's morning sun, where there's afternoon sun, where there's always 40% shade, where there's more than 40% shade, like behind my plant tables, and like so stuff is in appropriate places. All right. The plant tables are also something that I built, and if you're interested in hearing more about this, I could give you more details, but basically I custom designed them around these plastic shelving things that you can buy at Home Depot, and I wanted them to be sized to fit that, but also stable enough to last outside for like 10 years or so. So this is treated wood, and I used polycarbonate panels that are what's the word for it? Like siliconed around the seal. So they're watertight and they're also stable enough that I don't have to move them in the event of a tropical storm. They're quite heavy, and that was intentional. I almost put casters on them, but I decided not to do that. More like retractable ones I can always do, but it's not worth it. So I never move them. They just sit there, and they have retractable front walls and table like lids that fold up and down. So you can see that there's like a hinge right here. And these tables can be folded down. That this is like that plastic like labeling came off, or they can be folded back and I can expose my plants. But most of my things that I really need to keep more rain protected, like I really need to be able to stop them from getting rained on, they live on that table. Anything that doesn't live on that table, it gets full Houston rain. That's how I do it. I don't really water my plants. They get rained on. I don't protect them from it. They deal with it. This is just some shots of the tables. I have had a lot more success once I built these. It was nice to get like a more stable place where I could just keep everything and make sure that it was getting the amount of sun and water, rain protection that I needed. So for my a little bit nicer plants that are a little smaller, I tend to keep them packed on these tables.
Does it, when it's in there, does that function as like a partial greenhouse and make it?
No, because I always have them open. They're open all the time, and so they have really good ventilation. I don't like keeping them closed up because I believe that would lead to fungus issues. Yeah, but there's kind of like, you can see they're like always open. This is maybe a better shot of how it's laid out. So like there's double shade here because there's shade up and then another layer of shade here. So these are seedlings. And then this stuff gets like morning sun. This stuff is getting a lot of sun all day because it's like below where the shade fabric stops. And then there's things over here that are getting afternoon, like all sun. So that's kind of how it's laid out. All right, let's keep going. These are just a few more shots of like some of the things that I grow, like in more of the full sun type areas. There's like adeniums and trichocereus seedlings and columnar cacti that like a lot of sun. And then this is like a counter example. These are a bunch of like, there's probably 30 gymnocalycium seedlings that I transplanted into that pot, like dinner plate sized. And it's like on the ground behind the tables. So you can just move stuff around as needed. All right. I also grow a bunch of stuff along my driveway that is protected by a fence. There's a raised bed for columnar plants there. I grow a ton of agaves. Actually, most of them are not in this picture. I moved a bunch of them, and just those are some of the big ones I hadn't moved. But I've got a bed of irises that I grew from seed. I've got some like pre-bonsai over here that I just chop every year and like let the trunks get bigger. And there's like a big plumeria there that I like cut a branch off every year and give it away to somebody. I'll get there. Plumeria goes in the garage. Trichocereus will stay out there. This is the raised bed for the Trichocereus. It's kind of a cool project. You can do this in a single afternoon very easily. Just buy a couple 2x4s, or maybe like you might need like 4 of them. But this is pretty cheap. Just get yourself some 2x4s, screw them together, and make like actually I might have used, they weren't 2x4s. They're probably 2x8s. So that way there's 2x4s for these vertical parts, but these are 2x8s. In any case, you can just make a bed, fill it up with dirt, and plant stuff in there in like a soil that is more appropriate for them. And these things just get morning sun. I wish they got full sun, but this was 2 years ago, almost exactly. And this is what they look like now. So they're doing about 2.5 feet per year in the bed, in the ground. They're going way faster than they would in a pot. And I can dump fertilizer in there and stuff, and they love it. The first few years, I stretched plastic over them using these, like the first 2 winters, I stretched plastic over them. This year, I'm not gonna worry about it. They're gonna be all right.
You're just gonna leave them just,
I'm gonna cover the tops with like styrofoam cups.
so they're quite cold hardy though.
We'll see. If it gets below 28, they'll die. If it gets below 28, they'll die. I've seen there's some freeze damage on spots on them that you can see from like when it got down to 28 last time, but that didn't kill them. And so I think they'll probably be all right. We'll see. So because I let everything be outside and get rained on, I do need an extremely well-draining soil mix. If you want to take a quick picture of this, you can, but this is basically what I'm doing. It's about roughly, I don't measure this out, but it's roughly 25% core. I say peat or core because a lot of my pots from the past still have peat in them. It's about a little more than that of perlite, maybe like half as much peat. I put compost, and then there's usually some turfus in there just to fill it out, and then some kind of grit, depending on what I'm growing. It might be expanded shale if it's not fancy, but if it's fancy, or like I'm gonna put like Gakadama or Kanuma. I also I crush up organic charcoal. Do not get charcoal with chemicals in it, but if you get like organic charcoal and you look at the label and there's nothing in there other than burned wood, you can totally just crush that up yourself, and that's biochar, except you don't have to pay for it. I also do use gypsum for sure. You could use dolomitic limestone. That's going to lower the pH of your soil, but it's also going to supply magnesium, which is a good thing, so trade-offs. I use Microlife Humates Plus in every soil mix that I use for succulents. I think it's a good product for that application. I also used to use diatomaceous earth. I don't as much anymore, and I often mix in a little bit of fertilizer. This is what it looks like. It's usually, I do this in like a big tub, usually a gorilla cart or something, and it ends up looking like that. Okay, so in the winter, what do? The answer is I make a temporary structure with plastic sheeting and shelves. So these are the same standard metal shelving that like Dave was talking about. And there's, other types of shelves that you can use too. I've used plastic shelving in the past. It doesn't really matter as long as you have enough bricks on it that it's heavy. And then I started out just by using shower curtains because they have grommets already in them, which is helpful, and you can hook them on a hook. And you can buy shower curtains in 3 different thicknesses at Walmart. So just get the one that's thick enough. You'll find the middle one is plenty good. If you want to last for like 2 or 3 winters, you could buy the thick one. Or you can order greenhouse plastic, which is cheaper and will last longer, and you can get in bigger sizes, but it usually doesn't have holes in it for you. You can also buy tape that is specifically designed to work with plastic sheeting, and that's going to last a lot longer than just like duct tape or gaff tape. So buy a tape that's made to be used with plastic sheeting, and it will actually work. You can just use tape. So I do put up like a little like rod here to help support it. There might be another one on this side too, and that's just like supported from my tables to the shelf. I put up this little temporary structure, and I put the plastic over it, and I pray that everything's going to be fine. And usually it is.
Yeah.
I have had one issue one time where we had a really big winter storm that like pulled back some of my plastic, but I learned a lesson. So. I also grow a lot of seedlings indoors. There's some better pictures of this on the next slide. Basically, it's just a south-facing window, humidity dome, and heat mat, and you can grow seedlings in there very well. After about 6 to 12 months, I transfer them outdoors into the shady part of the deck, like onto that double shade table or behind my plant tables. These are some Astrophytum Kiko seedlings that are about, probably between 6 months and a year old, like ready to be transferred. So here's some photos of what that looks like. I also have a separate indoor, just quick tip, if you grow tropical plants indoors, seriously consider getting some sort of humidity structure for them. They will, like, I struggled to grow tropical plants indoors until I did that, and then it was incredibly easy once I did.
What's your target?
60-60 is my rule. Tropicals, I try to keep them above 60% humidity and above 60 degrees. But that's for like a calathea, not a cactus. Yeah. These are some seedlings. This is what it looks like. So you can see I have a tray full of pots of seedlings. There's like random stuff down there. This is a bunch that got sowed last year. Astrophytum seedlings just popping up. And then, like I said, they go outside after maybe 9 months. No, that's a good question. They're only on the heat mat. The heat mat's only on when seeds are actively germinating. After the seeds have sprouted and they're like 2 weeks old, and I'm confident that I've gotten all the germination that I'm going to get, I don't use a heat mat anymore because they're plenty warm enough from the ambient, like radiant heat and just the temperature of the room and stuff. Yeah. This is what it looks like when they're being transferred outside sometimes, or after they've been transferred outside. So here's a bunch of little things that had just been separated out. You could still see some pots not separated, but most of them I separated out into much larger pots. So these are just been up potted. This is what it looks like when they need to be up potted. And then like this might get split out, and then I can grow them out on the back porch. All right. This is probably maybe one of the most useful slides if you want to learn, like these are some methods that I believe in or that I use. Like I said, rain waters the plants for me. I basically only fertilize in the spring unless it is the type of plant that really wants a lot of fertilizer, in which case I might give it a little more. I should repot more often. I actually find that when I repot plants, they respond incredibly well. I believe plants like fresh soil, but I am lazy and it takes me 2 to 3 years to get around to doing it. I only do it when it's clear to me that the plant is like busting out of the pot and I really need to do it. I do use a lot of chemicals, but I try not to use them. So laziness helps here. And I also believe in trying more organic and gentle approaches before moving up to like the atomic weapons. These are kind of listed for each type of problem. These are all products that I have in my garage and use, and kind of moving from less intense to more intense. So if you have a problem with fungus, I would start with improving your ventilation, lowering your pH, and using sulfur and copper, potentially, definitely sulfur. Moving up from there, you could use a copper fungicide or garden phos. Those are organic, but they are also a lot more powerful. The azole fungicides like tebuconazole and propiconazole are systemic fungicides that are very powerful and very effective. I like them a lot. I also try to limit how much I use them. They do work, but only in the most extreme situations are they really needed. Miticides, if you have a problem with spider mites or things like that, they can be one of the hardest things to get rid of, and often you might think it's an insect. So you'll use an insecticide, which is not the right product. You need a miticide. The best one that I rely on, generally speaking, well, for insects and mites, is spinosad, which is again an organic approach. You can also be using hydrogen peroxide, which works shockingly well. If you mix it in the right concentration, you can use insecticidal soaps, you can use isopropyl alcohol. All of these things work very, very well, and you should try them first. If those don't work, there are some more powerful miticides that you will usually have to order online or buy from a specialty store. These are way better than what you can get at like a Home Depot most of the time, although there are some products at Home Depot that carry these as their active ingredients if you know what to look for. Probably the best miticide that exists in the world that I know of is Avid, which is abamectin. It's kind of pricey. Tetrasan is also very, very good. There is a fly trap supply store online that sells these things in small quantities if you only need a little bit of one of those. Tauflavinate is also a very powerful and effective miticide, and that one is available in Bayer products that you can buy like at Home Depot. If you ever see those blue like triple defense things, you'll likely see tauflavinate. It's pyrethroid. It's toxic as shit. Like it'll kill everything. It'll destroy anything in the water. Just be aware if you're using that, like you're going to kill everything. Same with insecticides. If you go up to the level of the systemics, like if you're going above neem, even neem is really powerful, frankly. But if you're going to pyrethroids or imidacloprid, like the neonicotinoids, those are very strong. And again, they're going to kill your pollinators. So if you have a garden like I do, where you want pollinators and they fly over to your cacti and they try to pollinate your cacti, you have systemically made your cactus toxic to that insect. It will die now. You killed it. So if I use those on certain plants that I absolutely have to use to save their life, what that also means is I then have to protect them by putting netting over them when they flower. And that's an extra chore for me that I don't want to do. So that's another incentive to try to not use some of those systemic products that are quite toxic. That said, they can save your plant's life. And if you have nice plants that you've been growing for a long time, or if you have a large collection, or if you're growing for sale or something, like obviously you might need to rely on these occasionally.
Any idea how long the plant remains poisoned?
Yeah, so generally, like if you read the labels on these things, it depends on the chemical, but often it's like around a year, 6 months to a year, and they can build it up in them. And also there's some like strict regulations that say even like you can't use it when the plant is budding, fruiting, or flowering. So even on their label, like in the tiny print, they'll say like, yeah, don't do that. But the truth is, like, I haven't tested to know exactly how long after application. It kind of depends too, especially it depends if you're doing, some of these can be applied, like imidacloprid is a good example. As a systemic insecticide, it can be applied as a foliar spray. It can also be applied as a basal spray, and it can be applied as a root drench. And those are different concentrations, and so there might be different results based on that. But you should, I guess all I'm trying to say here is like, try to know what you're using. I personally believe not just like buying something off the shelf, but like trying to understand what are the risks and rewards. Like some of these products are very non-toxic to humans, and that is why they are used. Others of these products are known carcinogens. You might want to be aware when you're using them which one's which. All right. Last slide is more just my personal kind of beliefs and just things I want to share because I have the floor. These are things that have helped me and that that are just suggestions for other growers. Number one, I used to grow everything under 40% shade all the time. That's not the right way to do it. Give your plants as much sun as you can. They will look better. They'll be happier, etc. They'll also be more resistant to disease. I personally am very confident that rain is better than unfiltered Houston tap water. I've tested this on plants A, B, and it's night and day, at least for the water that's being pumped to my house. So maybe it's the supply line between my house and the main, but at least in my experience, I get a lot better results with rain, and I do actually capture rainwater for the plants that are sensitive. I'll water stuff with tap if it's not a super sensitive plant, but I have some plants that I've seen them shrivel and do poorly when I do that. I believe in under-fertilizing over fertilizing. When I first started out as a grower, I over-fertilized some of my cacti, and they never totally got back to looking the way they should. It's better just to go light with fertilizers. Another way you can mess up your plants is changing things suddenly, like going from a tiny pot to a huge pot with a different kind of soil, or going from low light to direct sun, like indoors to outdoors immediately. Like if you do things more gradually, you're less likely to mess things up. As I've gotten older, I've grown more and more plants, and for me, that's been better. When I had fewer plants, I took a lot of care of each one. I was very particular about making sure that they were all like perfect. And now, like, if one of them dies, I but whatever. So, like, I don't know. I like it more because I'm less enticed to over care for them, and I find that I'm a better grower. I really care so much more for the plants that I grew from seed than some plant that I could have like spent money on.
Right.
It's like, yeah, it may not look as good or be as fancy or as old or as nice, but like you grew that plant from seed, you babied it through the winter when it killed most of the other ones, but this one survived. Like you've treated it for disease and had that disease go away, and you remember the time that it had spider mites, but it didn't kill it. Like you'll care so much more about it than like buying a plant that's really nice is rewarding for a short period of time, but then like the thrill of the new thing is gone. That is not the case when you grow something yourself and you nurture it over years. So I strongly believe in growing from seed. It also costs a fraction of the price. Speaking of that, plants are really overpriced and you can help counter that. I strongly believe in giving away plants or selling them as cheaply as you can. I won't say any more about that, but I have some very strong beliefs there. And then lastly, I think there's a little bit too much focus on like perfection when it comes to plant growing. That's not what makes things beautiful or wonderful in nature. That's not why I fell in love with the natural world. The natural world, as I see it, is a very messy place, but it's also way more beautiful than anything that is like perfectly structured. So that's what I try to focus on. This is a plant that's grown in an old yogurt pot that is split open down the side, that I haven't picked the buds off of, that I haven't repotted in multiple years, but it's flowering its heart out and it's really happy. So I see beauty and stuff like that. So thank you guys very much. Any questions or anything? Okay.
3 different people, 3 different houses, 3 different backyards, but just beautiful plants. We have a seed bank, so if anybody wants to try their luck, we have lots and lots of seeds.